So I just got back from seeing the Super Mario Bros. Movie for a third time, but this time in 3D, along with in 4DX. Now, in case you don't know what 4DX is, it's a type of theatrical experience that adds all these extra effects on top of what you're already seeing. So things like rumbling seats, or even moving seats, strobe lights, wind effects, water effects. There is so much going on here that I can't even describe it all, and Mario is a fantastic showcase of this technology. So I want to talk about my experience with the 3D and the 4DX in general in this review, and let you know if it's worth seeing in either of those formats. Now, before we get to that though, first off, in case you missed our previous reviews of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, I freaking love this film. In fact, I love it more now than I did before. Really, any complaints I had before, forget them. Yeah, they still may technically exist, they also don't really matter. I've started to appreciate this movie even more for what it is rather than what it isn't. And what it is a jam-packed, fun adventure filled with heartwarming moments that'll make any Mario fan just ridiculously happy. I'm not making this up. I legitimately caught myself smiling the entire time. I tried purposefully getting rid of my smile and it would instantly come back. I don't know how that works, but this movie is a joyride the entire way through. And I have to say that, as I just kind of said, a joyride, the 4DX technology is such a great fit for this movie. Now, I will say, I've done 4DX a few times before. I haven't always been the biggest fan because I do find it a little distracting at points with how much is happening, but I think with Mario, it actually really complements the action. Now, that being said, I don't know if I would recommend it for a first visit, especially with how much is already going on in this movie, but I think a second or third one is definitely worth checking out. And that's because the additional effects here really do kind of further immerse you into what's happening on screen. So, for example, I mean, it actually gets you right away with the little illumination intro where you see the little minion in the go-kart, because you can feel the rumble of that go-kart immediately, and it feels so good. It's basically like having a rumble pack, but strapped to your seat, and it just feels really fitting, especially for when we get to the actual Mario Kart scenes later on, which, by the way, when you reach that point, it's pretty much non-stop movement and action and things happening to you physically, and it feels so good. Not necessarily in that it feels good, but it feels good to be experiencing what's happening on the screen, if that makes sense. But I want to touch on a few other moments in the movie, and I'm going to try to avoid any specific spoilers here, at least beyond what we've seen in the trailers. But one of my favorite scenes, I think, in 4DX that I can remember offhand is during the battle with Mario and Donkey Kong. Because during that scene, Mario's getting pummeled, he's getting his butt kicked, and you feel that in 4DX. You feel yourself being slammed around and having your body being shaken, and it honestly almost makes it so you feel even more empathy for Mario. It's like, geez, I get it. You're getting killed right now. Especially because the seats have this thing in the back of them that like feels like it punches you right in the spine, and dear God. And I really loved what they added to it. And again, you kind of feel that later on too with the Mario Kart scene and just the impact, because it really feels like you're in a kart here. In fact, here, I can demonstrate. It really feels like you're in a Mario Kart, like driving down that track. I mean, it's almost as if you're on the Universal Studios attraction that they just opened a few months ago at Super Nintendo World. And it is wonderful. So, yeah! Alright, let's switch back in serious mode. But yeah, like you'll feel the impacts and jostles of running into other racers or running into things, whatever is being hit. As Mario jumps off the racetrack onto another, like you feel those slams, those impacts. There are also points in the movie where some kind of big action happens that is now enhanced by the strobe lights they have that light up. It's probably one of the more subtle effects, but it does add a little bit to the impact, because it's not just happening on the screen, it feels like it's happening more around you. There's also some scenes with water in the movie, and the way, like, you actually do get splashed in 4DX. Maybe not splashed, but you do feel like water coming onto you. And it gets one of the subtle enhancements that I think does make it more feel like you're in that moment with Mario and the crew. Another fun touch is they have these like little leg ticklers almost. If you ever done Honey, I Shrunk the Audience at Disneyland or Disney World, I think it's been closed for years now. But if you ever done that during the rat scene, you feel the rat, when the rat's running through the audience, and you can feel like little things happening to your legs. I think Shrek 3D had something similar. They have that here too, and it's used pretty much perfectly in at least one instance. I think they used it a couple of times. I won't say exactly how, but it's like that makes perfect sense for where they used it. I love that. Great touch. The only effect I'm not a huge fan of, I would say, and maybe it's just my theater, but it would be the wind effects. Now, the effect itself is actually pretty cool. For instance, I think they had it going during the very opening of the movie, before the music even starts, and you just see the ice field, and before Bowser's ship enters it. We saw this in the first trailer, of course, and like you can hear the wind, and now you feel the wind. Love that. The downside, though, not necessarily in this specific scene, but throughout the movie, is those fans are freaking loud, and it almost could drown out the dialogue at points, which is another reason why I would recommend seeing this on maybe a second viewing rather than your first, because you don't want to miss any dialogue your first time. You can still hear it, but it's a little easier to miss over the loud fans, and I wish they had figured out a better way of doing that, because the fans are a little distracting. Luckily, it's not too frequent, but they do pop up every now and then. You will hear it, assuming it's anything like my theater. Yeah, I think that covers most of it. I'm trying to think of any other moments I want to mention. There's like subtle panning, like, as the camera's like, moving slowly, like you feel your seats kind of tilt as if you're like careening around a corner, or not careening, but like stretching around a corner to get a better look at something. So a lot of subtle touches. Like, I almost want to go see it again now, just to better document what I was experiencing in the moment. But I didn't want to focus on it too much, because I didn't want to take away from what it was doing, which was adding to me enjoying the movie, enjoying those moments even more, like really bringing it, making it more feel true to life. So it basically what this does is it makes it feel like a theme park ride in your theater. I mentioned it earlier with Honey Shrunk the Audience, but it kind of feels like one of those 3D or 4D attractions, and it does a really good job of matching up with what's happening on screen. So I think they did a great job. I think Mario's a great fit, especially with, how it's based on a game. We're already used to some of these 4D effects, through like force feedback or haptic feedback, and this is like it taken to the next level. Like, this is, Rumble Pack Extreme, especially again with like your seat moving around, kind of like arcade games, but even more so. So you feel it. It's fun. I recommend it again, at least on the second viewing, if not, third like myself. Also, I haven't even touched on the 3D yet. I really enjoyed the 3D. Is it essential? Probably not. Not like it is for Avatar: The Way of Water. But the 3D further not only worked for the 4D effects, really helped bringing everything to life, giving more dimension. But regardless of whether you have the 4D effects or not, I just like the added depth. And you'll notice it right away from the opening logo screens especially, but it just added like a little bit of extra depth. And there were a couple times where like things are coming at the screen, and it made it feel just a little bit more lively. And it doesn't feel like, and it wasn't done intentionally in a cheap way, which I appreciated. It didn't feel like, oh, they added this here just because it can be in 3D. I don't even know if they really considered it or not. But there were a couple moments where it definitely shined. Again, I don't think it's essential, but I do think it enhanced the overall experience. So I recommend 3D. I recommend 4DX. Neither are essential, and in fact, I would not necessarily go out of your way for either if you need to. For the first showing, I'd probably, again, 3D is fine for the first showing. I would not necessarily recommend 4DX for a first one. Probably, not that you have a bad time, but again, I think ideally, see it normally first time, second time, 4DX. But there you go, everyone. That is my impression of the 4DX showing of the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Again, I adore this film. Tons of fun, lots of heart. It's sure to make any Nintendo fan's heart just flutter from pure joy watching it. But let me know what you thought, both of the movie and the 4DX, if you tried it yourself. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Everyone, thanks for watching. We'll catch you later. Bye. And of course, stay tuned for more Mario, because I freaking love this movie. There we go. Cappy took over my current cap. I don't even know what I'm doing here. And go watch the review of my parents too, by the way. They loved it too. They're 70 years old. They love the movie. So there you go. All right, bye everyone.